Thanks for the follow, David. We're just about to get started shortly. We're about to talk about very exciting details about the RX960 XT officially being released. And we are live. Welcome. I'm Chris Mizo, and I usually talk about PC and tech. What we're going to talk about today is about Computex and all the new information that they had released, especially AMD side. They had their live event where they talked about the RX960 XT, and the pricing has been excellent on their part. $299 for $299 USD for the 9060, and for the 9060 XT it is $349. So what exactly is the difference between the two variants? One is 8 gigabytes, the other is 16, but the best part is that they're at very affordable prices, and they have way over 200 variants for the RX 9060, which is quite insane. And I apologize for the late start originally, but the late start was due to trying to get everything up and running correctly. Now with the 9060 XT, it does have quite the boost clock. I believe it's at 3.1 gigahertz, which is pretty insane. And let's see. And it's even 6% quicker than the RTX 5070 Ti, which is going to be great for anybody out there who uses, say, an ultra-wide for gaming, and that is for up to 1440p. Now, if you are excited for Nvidia's RTX 5060, that is also being released, but that is also priced a bit higher. Now, for the RTX 5060, it's priced around $299, but it doesn't have quite the boost that you might be looking for, especially when gaming. They do have the RTX 5060 Ti, but that is going to be a bit more expensive, up to 16 gigabytes, and it's not going to be a large-scale improvement compared to its predecessors. Now, if you're trying to game on something like 1080p, that might be doable. Even 1440p, you might be able to get away with it. But if you're trying to get a GPU specifically for something like 4K gaming, these cards might not be the ones that you're exactly looking for. Now, they offer great value for where it's priced at. Now, if you're gaming on a monitor where it's only up to 1080p and you want the low latency, that's probably a great card for you. And I know I've received a comment earlier about someone saying all they do is play Call of Duty, so they feel that getting a 5060 is going to be sufficient enough for them. But unless they're going to constantly game on a 1080p monitor, and I just feel like it's not going to be worth it for them, because Nvidia should offer a lot more when it comes to the VRAM side, and it's just more of kind of like a rinse and repeat cycle of just the same type of just like getting weaker and weaker for what you're paying for. Because again, not that long ago you were paid $300 for a RTX 5070, it should be, and you would still get a very good bargain out of it, because you still can play all the games that you would like, and deservingly so. Gamers should deserve better when it comes to it. Now, what's up, Alexander? Glad you updated your iPhone. How are you liking it so far with your new settings? Yeah, it was and I was just setting up this whole live stream now, but yeah, I appreciate it. Everything that you've done. Alexander, that's our mod, that he's going to be the one that's going to step into the chat to check out everything that is going on, and he keeps everything nice and fair. Now, if you are interested in the RX 9070 XT, that is the one that they just released earlier in the year. They are certainly going to come out with more of them. Same with the 9060. Now, if you're looking forward to the release date, it should be around June 5th of 2025. So if you are trying to get the RX 9060 XT, make sure you keep your eyes open for it. What's up, Sanchez? Good to see you here. How are you feeling about everything that's going on with Computex? There's been quite a bit of announcements that has been exciting when it comes to Computex. I'm really personally excited for Noctua's AIO. Have you guys seen that? That looks pretty amazing. They came out with quite a few different products, Noctua. Seems like they're trying to really step up their game. They even have a PC case now. So the best part is you'll have a combination between Antec and Noctua when it comes to their PC cases. They have their own AIO, and they also came out with, there's something else that they also came out with that I felt that was pretty amazing. But it seems like Noctua is definitely going to step their game up. Corsair had some very interesting products that they've also released, especially that they have this new Steam Deck mouse, where it has up to 12 buttons. I know some of you might feel like it's not really that big of a deal because they do have other mouses like that, such as the Corsair Schmitter Pro, where it has the extra keys in there, like usually for MMOs. Same thing when it comes to Razer's Naga mouse. It's also the same way, where you can have the different keys on there. But so I'm really curious, even though it has like that Steam Deck built into the mouse, is it really like a Steam Deck? Because technically you could program those mice the same way if you wanted to for those for streaming, technically. Now, they also, Corsair also came out with some new cases, and they look very nice. It's practically like all glass. It almost looks like an aquarium because it's the only thing that doesn't make it look like an aquarium, how it usually has the sharp corners, like with any type of case. Like even the case behind me has a sharper corner, but now they're coming more bubbly from what it seems like. Now, the only downside is less customization, not being able to use your own ringtone. Yeah, so yeah, that's the only thing when it comes to using Apple products. If you do want to customize any of their settings, such as their ringtones or your notifications, there's ones that you can purchase and then you can set it for that type of ringtone. But unfortunately, it is locked, and that it isn't really like open source, such as something like Android, where you're used to putting your type of own custom ringtone or your custom notifications that you would like. Now with this AMD's RX960 XT, it does have 2048 cores in there. It does have a 3.13 gigahertz boost clock, so it is quite quick. So you can imagine if you actually end up doing some sort of undervolting, and if you do some sort of not only undervolting, but if you push the clock up just a little bit more, I'm pretty sure you can get some really decent numbers. But I'm really curious about the comparison when it comes to the RTX 5060 and the RX 9060, since they're practically nearly identical in the price realm. But it seems that the CU cores, of course, when it comes to AMD is a bit less. I believe it's 32, I think it is. But it does run on a 128 memory bit bus, and it is up to 320 gigabytes per second. But these are the nice things when it comes with the RX 9060 XT. Now, Nvidia is kind of disappointing people, not just because of the card, but more or so that they're not giving the freedom that everybody wants to, not really want, but they're not giving the freedom that everybody needs in order to benchmark these cards properly, because that would bring more fairness when it comes to something like a technical review, because not everybody's has the same monitor, not everybody has the same BC, so it's only fair for people to test on different monitors, different refresh rates, but they're very specific when it comes to their testing, and that's what that whole Nvidia debacle is really about. If you're curious about what really went down earlier in the week, unfortunately with Nvidia, they've been telling a lot of their benefactors, those who do get the review models of the RTX 5060, that they can only do certain type of testing. So they can only run like, say, like a 1080p test on a certain game, and of course it would blow out certain prior predecessors when it comes to Nvidia's models. But in reality, it's not really the case if you're comparing it with more modern games, or if you're comparing it with different resolutions, or if you're gaming in, say, if you're attempting to, at least in 4K, because then it reaches unrealistic levels to where if people do purchase it, then it's almost like false gold. They feel that they purchased something for a great bargain, but really it's not what they're looking for. And unfortunately, it seems that they want to take advantage of those people that are desperate enough to purchase a graphics card, and that's what is really hurting Nvidia on that side. It's almost like that their greed is showing when it comes to it, because if you do not review it the way that they want, then you will be kicked out of the Nvidia's partners program, which is where a lot of creators or a lot of people that aren't the press are part of, that if they get that Nvidia card, that they would be unable to review it that they in the style that they would want. And that really just sucks on that side, at least, because then for the people out there who does not have the capability or unable to purchase a card that they would be able to want, and you want to know what type of performance it would actually get out of, you don't want to end up being duped out of a RTX 5060 that doesn't perform as expected. So I wish there was a 3-finger mouse for gaming, to have 3 fingers on the top. The third button could be for reloading or something. Yeah, that, I mean, it can always happen. I mean, Noctua came out with this new mouse. That was the other thing I was thinking of too. It's actually like almost like air-cooled mouse. You can actually see through it, which is pretty dope. As a lot of these other mouse, like you see, like with say like Glorious Gaming, you can see like some of their mouses, how they have like the holes in there to make it lighter. It's the same when it comes to Noctua's. Now, if I show you Noctua's, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys here. They came out with a lot of great products. They had quite the display. Asus actually came out with a lot of great stuff too. I'm honestly excited about their XG27U. If you haven't seen it, it's a OLED monitor that is 4K, and it's up to 32 inches. It might be the XG32U, it would have to be, but it's up to 32 inches. It's 4K, it's OLED, and then on top of it, it's a glossy display, so it doesn't have the flat matte display that you're used to seeing on a lot of OLED monitors, where some people don't like it. Some people don't like glossy though because of the reflection, but the good thing is when Asus came out with this XG32U is that you don't really even see a reflection on it. You get the true blacks. So it's quite an amazing looking product, and would love to see it in person. Unfortunately, again, I wasn't there at Computex to check it out, but hopefully we'll be able to get one in soon. So, well, the RX 9070 performed better on AM5, like a big improvement. I'm still on AM4 with Ryzen 7 5800X. Well, if you're planning to get a RX 9070 and you're currently on Ryzen 7, well, I mean, see, the thing is, if you do get, say, the RX 9070, honestly, it would work well on either platform. I think the biggest surprise out of AMD side, if I remember correctly, that the RX 9060 requires PCI Express 5, which is kind of odd. Same thing with the RX 9070. It should perform a bit better, especially on AM5. There are also some indications of AM6 going to end up being released. And when it does, that will certainly be a better graphics card for it. The reason why you would want to upgrade your motherboard really is that you would want to prevent any type of bottlenecking, and that would certainly do it if you do choose to go AM5. Plus, it's upgradable too. You don't have to stay on AM5. Well, you stay on AM5, but I mean for Zen 6 is what I mean. Like if you want to go into the next process. And but it would be worth it in that sense, and it would be definitely worth it just alone for DDR5. You get PCI Express 5. You would see the difference in that side for sure. And I would think so. AM6, yeah. I mean, you could wait for AM6. The good thing is you could more than likely get a board. I think AM6 will also, yeah, I can understand waiting for AM6, but it probably won't happen until 27, I would think. And because Zen 6 more than likely will also come out with, they might call it still Zen 5, Zen 6. I'm not sure how they're going to call it when it comes to the Ryzen 10,000 series, because that's going to be the last generation for at least for AM5, I can say for sure. But either way, you can't go wrong. I can understand you're waiting for it because you're going to see another type of improvement. The other improvement that you're going to see when it comes to AM6 is going to have to be PCI Express 6, and they're really looking into the talks of like Cam 2, which is another thing. I don't blame you. At least you can save for the 3 years to save like maybe $100 each month at least, and by the time you get there, you'll be able to get it. As long as if you're not getting like an RTX 5090, then you'll be set to go. Again, it's still extremely expensive, and there hasn't been any changes when it comes to Nvidia. Same thing with AMD. Their prices seem like they're going to stay where they're at. I don't think we're going to see any type of change soon. So I'm going to switch over the screen here real quick, just to show you guys Noctua and what they're coming out with here. But this is what they have. This is the GPU also that they worked with AMD, not AMD, with Asus. And they are also coming out with a RTX 5080. So that's what that is pictured in there. If it comes up, I'll show it to you. They did come out with a power supply. That's the other a component that they also released. But here is what they had on the floor. It's pretty dope, actually. Take a look. It's not even clear. There you go. But that's a 5080 over there. They have their own keyboard, their own power supply, and that's their mouse right there. That's the 5080 from Asus. And this is this case. That's pretty dope, right? Look at that cooler. Actually has a really nice style of it. And then you got Steve over there from Gamers Nexus, and that's the AIO right here. And I feel that's going to be quite impressive as well. But Computex did bring out a lot of interesting products, like when it comes to it. I might get AM6 in 3 years because I'm broke. I'd rather use a GTX 250 than a 5090. Oh, really? That's funny. That's a throwback right there. Let me see something real quick, guys. Make sure I get this refreshed here. Because for some reason Alex isn't showing up on the regular stream. There we go. But yeah, Noctua came out with some interesting products. Asus came out with the XG27U, or 32U, I mean. And then they also came out with a dock, which I want to share with you guys too. And that's pretty amazing for those who does have a handheld, especially those who have like a Asus ROG Ally or a Asus ROG Ally X. They actually have they came out with their own dock. And with their dock, let me pull it up here. It actually has 2 USB-C ports. It sits really nice. It's a very beautiful dock, in fact. I'm just trying to pull it up here so I can share it with you guys. And it is just loading up here. And here it is. The 100-watt dock. This is it right here. Now, let me scroll. Tell me that doesn't look superb right there. So you could sit your Asus ROG Ally on here, or you could sit on any other type of PC gaming device and you could sit it up there. Now it does have, it's 7-in-1, has HDMI 2.1, USB-C, Gigabit Ethernet ports. So you can even have a really decent connection gaming on these docks right here. And the best part is, look how nice that setup would be. Now, if you have an Asus monitor, such as this one, as the one that I'm pointing out right here, this ultra-wide monitor, you can actually use the dock and hook it up directly because it actually has USB-C, like with a lot of Asus's newer monitors, and you could be able to, instead of using like DisplayPort or using HDMI, it'll plug in via USB-C, and you'll be able to play your games in that sense. So I'd rather use the 5090 is basically a Apple version Pro. Yeah, it's that's the crazy part. It's we're not going to see too much variations when it comes to the 5090. We do know for sure that the RTX 5080 not Ti, but the RTX 5080 Super, there is some indications of that going to be released within the next year, and has some very decent specifications. It's going to boost better boost clocks, and it's also has up to 24 gigabytes of VRAM when it comes to the 5080 24 gigabyte model. The best part is that I feel like that would be the sweet spot, especially for those who are looking for a new graphics card that is high end. The 5080 Super would be the one to get if you're looking for better ray tracing and path tracing. I was hoping that AMD would release the 9080 XT, but there was no announcement of it. But they did come out with a different one. They came out with a workstation one. I can't remember the number. It's like 6. What's that number? I'll pull it up, matter of fact. But it's made more for AI learning and everything, the other one that they came out with. And it seems like a lot of these companies like AMD, Intel, they came up with these high VRAM cards, but they're all designed for AI learning programs. And the one that they released, let me see if I can pull it up here, is the R9700, and that's what they called it. And this is on video cards where I'm showing this right here. Looks just like this, the AMD Radeon AI Pro 9700. So it's not going to be really meant for gaming. Right here are the specifications for it. 128 AI accelerators, 32 gigabytes of G6, 96 teraflops, and 1531 TOPS, 300 watts. And if you compare the larger models, again, this is more built for AI learning, or if you want to have a LLM, this is a great one for that. And the next thing that could really compete to this would be Intel's version, which is their Battle Mage, which is the 570, but theirs has up to 40 gigabytes of VRAM. And on top of it, it's dual GPU. It also requires at least PCI Express 5 on it in order for you to be able to run it properly. Now, I thought it looked like an old cassette player. I meant the Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like a lot of these workstation cards, they have more of this look. But again, these aren't going to be very good if you try to attempt to use them for gaming. They're more than likely, this is going to have very low ray tracing on it. Same thing with Intel's. If you take a look at it, it's only like 20 RT cores, I think, in it. But it's not really much inside of Intel's or AMD's, because they're not meant for any type of gaming in there. I think they're trying to compete more with the higher end of Nvidia's, which is that 96 gigabyte one. And if they actually tested it gaming wise, and it's not that much, doesn't even score that much higher than the RTX 5090. So again, these cards are meant for more if you're into LLMs, and if you want to do more machine learning, it's a great GPU for that. Also, at the show, Asus is also coming out with some wooden finishes. Actually, shout out to JB Creations out there. This would actually fit really great with him, which is like the wood grain type of style GPUs. He does like a lot of wood case buildings. If you haven't checked him out, he's on TikTok as well. And but yeah, they're coming out with so many different variations of GPUs. They have different variations of the BTF connections with the new GPUs. And what the BTF connections is from Asus is if you get a board where all the connections are on the back of the board, and that is the BTF connection. They also give you the flexibility. Sapphire also has a variation, which is like Sapphire Nitro Plus or Sapphire Nitro. They do have a variation BTF connector that you can plug in there so it can connect well with any Asus motherboard. And they also showed off quite a few different variations of the BTF boards, and it looks quite exciting, and I can't wait to see what the next step is. Now, they... oh, what's up, Bayrox here? I'm from the UAE. Oh, my channel is about PC and tech. Right now, I'm just talking about everything that was revealed in Computex. If you like PC and tech, or you're into PC gaming, you came to the right place. As we were just discussing about the whole RX960 and the RX960 XT, the RTX 5060, how they've all been released. Now I know they're more on the more of the budget-friendly side when it comes to GPUs, and figuring out if it really is worth getting for anyone out there. Maybe some of those can really try out the AMD card. I'm really curious to see how that is. I know Nvidia has withheld those 5060 drivers until it was just a couple days ago they released it, which was a new driver set, which is the 576.52, I think it's up to now. I think that's the new one now. But the 576.52 is the one where it has the RTX 5060 drivers, and on top of it, they have some small fixes like from what the original drivers were. But I'm just curious to see if there is any issues with those drivers, because I haven't ran it in Doom quite yet, because there was issues with a tuner when you're running the game, or any type of overhead display that would end up freezing up the game so you couldn't even play it before continuing. So no, this is an engineering channel. This is more of an enthusiast channel that we talk about all this. I do more like PC builds. This is more of this type, like a PC channel, like when it comes to any type of components or tech. So no. Yes. So do you have any questions? I also answer questions if you have any. Are you looking to upgrade, or are you looking to do a PC build? Out of curiosity. Yep. But yeah, we were just talking about that, and Asus came out with their products, which was the monitor. They came out with their dock as well. They also came out with some... Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Also, let me check out what else they have, because I have everything listed here. But there's so much information at Computex, it's insane. It would take days to unravel everything. Thank you. Enjoy scrolling. But yeah, Asus has new GPUs, of course, that will be coming out, which is going to be the RX960 XT. They also have, here, let me switch over so you guys see exactly what I'm seeing here. Right there. So they got the Asus Dual, which is the RX960 XT. That's the smallest graphics card. Again, like for those, that's going to be very limited, because again, it's 8 gigabytes. Now they do have the new enhancements for GPU tweak. What's up, champ? Good to see you. Hopefully everything's all good. We're actually in the funny thing is we're actually in the middle of a heat wave now in Miami. Oh, is it? Did it fix over? That's so strange. Let me check it out. On my side, it looks like it's... Oh, okay. Let me check it out. Stream summary. Stream manager. There we go. Right now I'm just checking it out just to make sure it's all good. It should be okay now, right? I would think. And you know what's insane? They came out with some crazy power supplies. Like there's one power supply that's up to 3,000 watts, which is insane. Yeah, that's... I could zoom it out some. It looks like it's too zoomed in. Really? Oh no. Let me switch over. Does it look okay, like via camera, at least? Let me see. Hopefully it's okay there. Okay, so the camera's fine. It's only when I go into the screen. That's what I kind of figured. It was kind of acting up on that. Screen share was cut off. Oh, I tried to align it and, okay. So, if I go back to the screen share real quick. Let me try to shrink it up a bit and see if I can get it to fit a bit better here. There we go. I know on the vertical side it's probably a little bit tough, but that's probably the best I can do right there. That probably looks better, right? But that's a look at the RX 9060 XT. Looks pretty dope, right? Not a bad card. This would be great, like on a okay, perfect. Yeah, I kind of figured that was the case right there. But Asus is coming out with the what I'm really excited for. Let me go back here. It looks like they're using the same cooler on all the prime. Yeah, practically. It's like practically like the same cooler. I am really excited for this though. So anybody that does have a ROG Ally, I know some of you guys got rid of yours, but this is pretty dope though. I would love to have a dock like this, because apparently I still use that cardboard dock that they came with the original Ally. I haven't opened up like how the Ally X is. If anybody has the Ally X, let me know. I'm curious, because does it also come with that cardboard dock that the original Ally does? But at least this would be a lot more secure setting it. And it has all these connections here. You got the regular USB 3.0 connections here, Ethernet, HDMI, and you have two USB-C. His Ally, oh, I bet he does. And the exciting thing is, we know for certain that there's going to be a Zen 2, not Zen 2. There's going to be a Z2 Extreme Asus ROG Ally that will be released sometime soon. It has to be within the next year or so. But there is certainly one coming out. MSI released their Claw, which is going to, now they teamed up with AMD when it comes to their processor instead of teaming up with Intel, because that was a mistake. It was a much better idea for them to team up with AMD, because now they got the Zen 2 Extreme process. They got 24 gigabytes of G6, which is not G6. They have 24 gigabytes of DDR5, which is going to be insane, up to 8,000 megahertz, I think it is. And they didn't really unveil too much of the memory, but it's an 8-inch display. And ergonomically, it looks like it's going to be well. I've always liked the ergonomics of the MSI Claw. I just never liked the internals of the original one. But yes, LPDDR5, correct. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not going to be like actual DDR5 for handheld devices because it's so large. But I could see in the future, like if they continue to do this process when it comes to Cam 2, because that's something that they kept showing in Computex. They showed it last year, in fact, too, as well. These motherboards where it has these Cam 2 DDR5, where instead of hooking up your RAM vertically like how you usually do, instead it's horizontally on the board. But yeah, I know it's like a little late, but I'm just curious about how the enhancements will be. And I do agree that they definitely should have released it a bit earlier, but it just gives you a good indication that there will be an Li2 for certain with Z2 Extreme. We definitely know that for sure. But I'm just happy that they actually came out with something at least. It's better than nothing, I gotta say. But they're coming out with this. I'm really excited for the XG32U, which is going to be their OLED monitor, 4K. I think that's going to be excellent for those who are more fans or who are more strictly focused on monitors where they're just straight up glossy. I even leave the film on this one because that way it stays glossy compared to the matte. And yeah, you know what's funny? I was just speaking about that company, JSAUX. That I just was speaking about them, and that they're actually a great company as well. Like when it comes to docks, and everybody was going to them, especially when it was coming from the original handhelds. I think it all originated honestly from Steam Deck with JSAUX, and then it just kind of branched over to the other handhelds. I know Zotac is also coming out with theirs. I haven't checked out their specs, but we could definitely check them out together, see what they're like. Let's take a look at it. Let's see. Handheld console. This is it right here. I'm curious how it would be. It looks pretty nice. 7-inch display, so it's the same size as like the Asus ROG Ally. Now but this is what is really nice. It's an AMOLED screen. Now that's something that I would love for more handhelds to do, is have like AMOLED screens. That because it's similar to what would be on your phone, especially like Samsung phones. They use like AMOLED, the newer ones at least. And I noticed on this, it even has a camera. I'm assuming this is going to be the menu button, and this is also going to be some sort of like option button here. Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about it, and I definitely want to put up a poll. I could actually put up a poll shortly from now, out of curiosity, because I want to see where everyone's interest is, especially for what has happened and what's transpired about when it comes to the whole review with Nvidia, especially when it comes to the RTX 5060s and how restrictive they are. They only want one type of chart to be out there in order for everyone to take a look at before purchasing a RTX 5060. Oh, really? The 3080 Ti is still a awesome GPU. In fact, this build that the build that I'm currently on, like when it comes to my streaming build, that's actually on a RTX 3080 Ti, believe it or not. But my, of course, on the gaming systems like the 5090, but I use this one more for my like the video editing and for more like streaming and everything like that instead. But it's a great GPU still. It's actually the Asus ROG Strix RTX 3080. Yes, exactly. I am on a dual PC setup. In fact, what I use like for this dual PC setup is I actually have a switch for the keyboard, and I hook it up through the monitor. It's probably going to be hard to see, but it's back there, and there's a button there I hit for the mouse and the keyboard to switch over to my other PC. But this monitor does offer KVM and everything, but the only thing is if I go into KVM mode, that it's going to be a little bit more, hey, what's up, Plano? Good to see you. Glad you're in here. Welcome in. My 3080 Ti is EVGA. Oh, that's a shame. You know what's funny? I don't know if you got to see that video, but there was a PC that I had to upgrade. It was actually a friend of mine's PC, and he upgraded to the RTX 5070, and he had the EVGA RTX 3080 in there. And when I saw that, it just brought a tear to my eye because just how beautiful that GPU is. And it's a shame that they're not around anymore. And same thing with the XFX. Even before EVGA, XFX was one of the companies out there that also was working with Nvidia, and then they ended up just backing out, and now they're also no longer part of Nvidia, but you'll see them a lot with AMD now. Same thing when it comes to the yeah, they used to back then. Matter of fact, let me show you. I think it was the XFX. Yeah, and that's the funny thing. It was the 6800, I think I had. Nvidia. But it was actually a really nice card. It was like one of those first cards where they had a built-in water cooler in it. Oh, here it is. Yep. I gotta switch over to show you guys this. Because this is pretty dope. Someone's actually selling it. But that's what it looked like. Right here. XFX Nvidia card. And this one's a 6800, 256 megabytes of memory. It's funny to see it in megabytes. Back then, that used to be a lot. You used to be excited just for getting 256. I think this card, I remember when I bought it, it was like the high-end one. And this card was like, what was it? It was, I think, $500. But $500 was like high-end for a GPU back then. You got the 2 DVI, for those who remember that. But yeah, this is a good one here. It's funny to see it, but yeah, here's another one actually. No, this one's an Asus one, but XFX also had one that looks similar to this. I was not a PC gamer back then. I played PC games at school, Oregon Trail days. Yeah, those are the days. You know, can you imagine if they come out like with a re-edition like of like Oregon Trail? They probably already did. I bet they did. But it would be funny if they brought it back. Yes. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like only the people that were back then really know about this type of stuff. Here goes a actually dope one right here. I thought so too. You know what I really enjoyed about Oregon Trail is when you go to do the hunting part. I would always play the hunting part, like when it came to it. That or what was the other one? Was that an Oregon Trail 2 or was that another game where it was like or it was like the Amazon trails where you had to use like a harpoon to go into the water to try to catch a fish? Was that an Oregon Trail 2 or was that another game? Amazon Trail? It might have been like another one. I forget. It was so long ago. Yeah, I remember the buffaloes and that's right, the buffaloes and the squirrels. The biggest thing was trying not to starve to death on Oregon Trail. That was the funny part. Like you would have to try not to starve. You would have to try to survive. You would have to go. I gotta. You know what's funny? It makes me want to play Oregon Trail again, just to go through that experience to get some memories again. Your kid. Yeah. Oh man. I gotta check it out. I bet it's on Steam too. I'm gonna be surprised. Oh really? That game was pretty wild though. It's wild for what it was, but you did learn a lot from that game. I think when I first played it, it was on Mac actually. It was like the old Mac computers where they had the PC in the back of a CRT monitor. It was one of those ones. And then but on PC, I played a lot of like more like Doom and Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior, and what else was like really big that I played too back then. Uh oh really? I wonder how that's like. It's got to be weird seeing it. And is it 3D? Now I'm gonna look it up just because now you piqued my curiosity on it. Oregon Trail, 2022. All right, let's switch over real quick so everybody can take a look at this. Oh wow, look how different it looks. This looks so different than what it was. Let me make this big real quick. There you go. Oh, Set it just like that. Let me go back small because I know on the vertical side it's going to be hard to see. But just like this. But yeah, look, nothing like that. And this one's the original. Oh, no, this is the 22 version too. I wonder if they got the original one. Oh, and here goes another one. Here goes another memory right there. Carmen Sandiego. Remember this game too? I had no idea they still make this game. These are some throwbacks. But yeah, if anybody has never played it, it's a lot of fun. But I don't know how the new 2022 version. It looks a lot different than what I remembered it. This looks familiar. Like, that kind of looks more familiar. But yeah, that's pretty funny though. Oh. Yeah, that's funny though. Oh, let me put up my poll up for everybody out there. Because I'm curious about everyone who is interested in seeing more of the budget entry like GPUs. I'll put up the poll right here. You can put a vote in. And let me see. Let me put it right there. That should be good. And I'll open up the poll here. Also in the chat. Oh, that's right. I gotta add it in here. Yeah, so it's just going to be a poll about what your thoughts are. If anyone is interested in seeing this, let me make it bigger here. There you go. What do you feel is the winner out of Computex? Do you feel that the RX960 XT was the winner, or do you feel that the RTX 5060 was more of the winner? Reason why I'm asking is maybe in the stealth build we'll probably get one of these GPUs. You let me know what you think and we can go ahead and go with it. Either way, I'll give the review, of course, without any type of bias to it, and I will bench it however you would like. Any specific tests, feel free to let me know, but you can put your vote in. If you wonder how to vote, you just put the number, you put 1 or you put 2. It should make the poll move. So this is the first time I'm throwing up a poll up here like this. So I'm not sure how well it would respond. So if you put 1 or 2, you can it will go into the actual poll, and I can always bring it back up. So for everybody out there, just put your vote in. Let me know what you think. There you go. Yep, so it's working. Thanks for checking out, champ. But if anybody out there is interested in seeing a review, what do you feel is the winner of the Computex show? Do you feel like it was more of the RX 9060 XT? Or do you feel that it was more of the RTX 5060 Ti? Are you still a strong fan of Nvidia? Or do you feel that you're slowly switching over to the AMD side? Feel free to put your vote in. You just put the number in. You put 1 or 2. And that will certainly, and the poll will respond to your numbers. So, but in this, from what the whole Computex show, from what it seems, is that the most exciting part that everybody was really waiting for was these GPUs here. They wanted to see how the pricing would be, what type of specifications would be featured with it. And it seems that the RX 9060 XT did come out with very impressive specifications. On top of it, it does have quite the boost clock compared to even the RX 9070, which is pretty insane. It's at a boost clock of 3.13 gigahertz, and it does have up to 16 gigabytes of G.Skill. On top of it, it does have it only requires, I think like 300 watts of 300 watts of power, maybe even less, I would think. Let me pull up the official stats here just to make sure. Even less, I think. Yeah, even less. It's 150 watts for the main power for the board. And it runs up to with 128-bit bus. And it does have the 2 variants, 8 and 16. But 8 is not the XT version. That's going to be a 9060. And it does have up to 2048 cores in there for ray tracing. So let me hide the poll here so it doesn't get in anyone's way here. But feel free to vote. It's going to be throughout the stream, so you can feel free to vote with any. I want a 9070 XT. I will trade my 3060 and the 3080. Oh yeah, you can certainly get one. Definitely if you trade both of those, and I think you could get a 9070 XT. Again, it's been a really great card. I'm sure you've seen the streams when it came to when we were playing Doom, The Dark Ages. Now, I wonder if anyone out there really enjoyed the game. I'm curious about your thoughts about Doom, The Dark Ages. I've heard internal is better from a lot of people, from what it seems like too. And with Doom, The Dark Ages, it can run well, but you just have to watch certain settings. I'm not sure if they did any patches or updates recently when it comes to Doom. I realize if you are gaming and you are playing Doom with a AMD card, you have to have FSR off. If you have FSR on or frame generation on it, it will actually end up freezing up the game. Now, this might be specific to having Rivet Tuner up, because it certainly ended up freezing within about 3 to 5 minutes. If that is completely off, then it won't freeze. You should have some smooth gameplay for the most part, at least. Now, when it came to the Nvidia side, it does not freeze up if you have an older driver. If you have the newer driver, not the current one that is out just a couple days ago, because I haven't tested that one, but from the driver 576.4, you are unable to continue on Rivet Tuner and play Doom, because it would freeze up right before even starting the game. So you would have to force exit your way out in order for you to be able to play Doom. You would have to exit out of Rivet Tuner too. Yes. No, I have not played Doom Eternal. That's one I have to put onto my list. I'm definitely going to get it though, for sure. That's the only one I haven't played. I played every other Doom, and the only one I have not played yet was Doom Eternal. Because I've heard that it's been a bit mixed because the soundtrack wasn't as good when it came to Doom, The Dark Ages. People didn't like it as much. The weapons are definitely excellent, I can say, for the most part. I heard once you get further into the game that if you only use 2 weapons, these 2 specific weapons later in the game, because currently I'm on chapter 6 so far on Doom Dark Ages, that you don't no longer need the other weapons. And the good thing about Doom games was the variation of weapons for certain type of enemies. So, but yeah, I'm curious about that. I also do want to try to get Claire's Expedition and Kingdom Come 2, because I heard great things about those 2 games as well. They're on my list, and I definitely plan on getting them. I also think they would also be great games to really test out how the cards would run. And also, if anybody has any type of requests when it comes to games and benchmarking, feel free to let me know. I can always take the request. When for gaming, either on a RX 9070 XT currently or on a RTX 5090, we can try either one. Currently, I'm in the works of trying to get a 4K monitor in so we can get a 4K resolution test. But currently, we've been running about 3440 by 1440 resolution to give it ultra wide test. And so far, it seems like it's been great. Like, both of these cards have been doing it well. And you have a 4K OLED. Yeah, that's something that I want to get to. I want to get something that's like 4K OLED. But I'm going to have sit and have some patience for it. The MSI 321 URX. After you go 4K OLED, I bet there's no turning back. Because I'm thinking of just, instead of just running 2 ultrawides where I have the current setup, this one's a OLED ultrawide. So I love this monitor anyway. This one's a PG34 WCDM, great monitor, has multiple, has a USB-C, and it does have 2 USB 3.2 ports in there. And it does have an optional port on there as well, and a USB-B port where you can plug it into your PC and share with other PCs. But this other one, this one's a great monitor too, which is the LG 34. But this one's just a standard LCD, and it's only up to 180 hertz. And I feel like this one's getting to the point where I want to use this more for a demo monitor instead of actually using it for one to the PC build, and switching this out into a 4K monitor so that way we can do more 4K testing as well. 240 hertz. That's a very good refresh rate. And I bet, how's the latency on it? I gotta ask. I bet it's really good. The MSI makes some great monitors. Gigabyte does. They all really do. And it's been quite the change in landscape when it comes to their monitors, especially the newer ones. It's almost like 240 hertz is like the one to get now. Currently, this is the ultrawide that I have right now. This one is at 240 hertz. This one's only 180 hertz. So, but again, I want to swap this out for 4K so we can do other benchmark tests. For anyone that's just coming in, I was just asking the question out there for if you would like to see a RX960 XT or a RTX 5060 Ti. Put your vote in. I would love to know your thoughts here. And you just put the number in, and you can put, it will also change the poll, put either 1 or 2, and then we can more than likely go with that GPU. I'm thinking of running it on a stealth build or another upcoming build, maybe on the Intel build, but let me know your thoughts. Wow, that's like barely anything then. That's barely any type of latency if it's at that point. But I'll go ahead and hide the poll. Just put 1 or 2. And 1 for the RTX 5060 Ti. And 2 for the RX 9060 XT, I have to say. But for the most part, I don't know how everyone feels currently, how the public really feels about the issue with Nvidia when it comes to their say-so when it comes to benching cards, when it comes to their RTX 5060. That, again, they only had certain parameters to test it, only on a 1080 display. I don't even think they were able to test up to 1440. They only strictly had 1080p. That was it. Not 1080p, but 1080. And you can only run it on certain games, so that way it seems that it is certainly the better card, but I'm sure there's more reviews out there. Hopefully some of those reviews are more true. And I know a lot of people out there who did get the demo cards for the RTX 5060s or the ones that they borrowed for the review. Hopefully that they spoke exactly what they thought of the card, because that's the only thing you really have to watch out for now. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more people that's going to be more true because of how much has been unveiled about the whole NVIDIA's partners program to test with certain parameters, which is really kind of ridiculous. Luckily, AMD isn't like going that route either, where you can only test with certain parameters. Only a few people can really get those graphic card models. And I'm just really curious to see how these benchmarks really turn out. In fact, let me see if they do even have any, because there's so much Computex stuff that is going on here that I really can't wait to see. Like there's another one too, the Threadripper 9000 series. That's insane. I can't imagine how much that's going to be when that gets released. I'm actually looking up to see if there's a price for it. It looks like this right here. This is quite the monster. Up to 64 cores for a 9985WX and 32 cores for a 9975WX. All this info here is on video cards if you're interested in checking that out. But this is insane. But I'm really curious about the price point when it comes to it. Look at this. 96 cores and 192 threads. Now, if anybody's thinking of gaming with a Threadripper, don't even think about it. It's going to be a waste of money. because this is more for multi-processes. So this is a lot better for workflow, like as if you're doing it for something like if you're doing some sort of graphic design, or if you're doing some sort of a lot of like very heavy video editing. These are great processors for that, but you wouldn't really want to use it for gaming, and they're not going to perform as well as you would as it looks, you can say, because a lot of games they really require more single core processes than actual multi processes. But again, more games are getting less optimized, so I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we get to the point where they say, oh, we need to start multi-processing games. But they do want to push, I know Microsoft does want to push direct storage. It would be great, honestly, because there's a lot of games out there that could really benefit from something like that. And because the funny thing is, some of these games that you could actually run it on a hard drive and you wouldn't even notice the difference. The speed wouldn't be that much of a difference, because again, it's not really running off of the NVMe. You would see it's actually running very low if you ever measured it in the stats, that it's not really doing much for it. But they do go direct storage, then you can see a much better performance increase, and it would be really nice if it goes that direction. Another thing that I got to share with you guys too is this whole Cam 2. And Cam 2 looks something like this. And this has been the big thing here. Take a look at this. This one's on WCCF. So Cam 2. You're used to seeing RAM that's more like, not like this, but this is like Cam 2. So you put it on your board, it screws in similar to like M.2 drive. So you just install it just like that, and you get your RAM. So your RAM right here, you can get up to Cam 2, frequency of up to 8,000, latency of CL42, voltage is at 1.4, and the kit capacity is up to 32. Now, that would be, it's really interesting because the fact that it's very focused onto the Intel side when it comes to it, I'm curious if they're really going to push even further, because I remember them talking about Cam 2 even last year. And it almost seems like it's kind of inefficient, because it seems like it's already easy to install RAM as the way it is. You could easily just pop it in compared to screwing it into the board. Now, the whole argument is that you can have much more quicker memory, because, again, it can travel quicker, like through the lanes, apparently. But that is something that is in the works currently is Cam 2. And also another thing that they've are working on is so much information here. Let's see. It's like, Intel is also coming out with their Panther Lake. And Panther Lake was kind of teased. They showed you what the die is. They don't, inside the chipset, they're not running it on DDR5 inside of the processor anymore. They're actually changing it out. But I'll show you what it looks like, in fact. First big RAM innovation since, yeah, tell me about it. I'm really curious to see how it's going to go. And the funny thing is, they're also talking about DDR6 already. And I feel like we just got into DDR5 and we haven't really even pushed it just quite yet. Let's see. Pull this up right here, and looks kind of like this. No, that's not a good one. Because if I go on to here, I can show you it for sure. Here goes like a first slide of it. Here we go. Looks, that's not a very good clear picture, but I'll show it to you guys anyway. but it looks something like this. Right there. Not too bad, right? But the thing is, they're going to switch up the whole motherboard socket again. So it's not going to be based on its current chipset on the X890, not X890, Z890. So it's going to be running on a completely different socket. It's going to be, instead of on LGA 1851, they're switching over to LGA 19. I always get this number mixed up, but it's LG 19 something, 1952 or something like that. So they're adding quite a bit more pins in there. But again, it's just going to be quite the changeover because it's running on a 18A. So it's supposed to be a lot more competitive to an AMD processor. But then again, we'll see. Not to the 2 nanometer node, but more closer to the 5 nanometer node for certain. But I think Intel, hopefully they do make a comeback. I'm hoping that they prove themselves because it seems like they were getting better. Originally, when they came out with the Alder Lake, I thought it was going to be the Alder Lake was actually excellent because they came out with PCI Express 5, they had DDR5, but then they just really fell off. Like once they hit the 13th gen and hit Raptor Lake, it kind of just like went downhill from there. They were supposed to come out with newer technologies. Supposed to come out with like instead of just having like L2, L3, they were supposed to come out with like L4 cache to where the process would be able to process a little bit quicker. And I know they had like variations of it, but again, it's almost like Intel goes through these failed experiments when it comes to their processors, especially like this whole 265K and the 285K. That just like was a straight bombshell, unfortunately. But again, you can actually get a really good deal on it currently. If you're interested in getting it, you can actually get a 265K or 265KF for, I think it's $275. But you get that, you get some RAM, and you even get 2 games with it. Same with Intel's 285K. It's also on sale for $518, I think. Yes, trying to catch up to RDNA 4. And that's the thing. It's like they have a long way to go, but it's very interesting that they actually did come out with the Battle Mage B570, which is their AI version of their GPU. It kind of will give you a throwback memory of SLI, Nvidia's SLI, and AMD's Crossfire because it's a dual GPU. And it's up to 40 gigabytes of VRAM. Everyone out there is probably like, damn, that's a lot of memory. That's a lot of VRAM. But again, it's not going to be for gaming purposes. It's more for LLM purposes, for large learning models that people can do, or local models that they can work on this GPU. AMD did the same thing and has a very niche specific GPU where it's focused onto AI learning models. So I'm curious to see how well that's going to go, how much people are going to get into it. If anyone's into that, let me know in the comments or in the chat because I'm just curious. It seems that even Nvidia has programs for those who are interested in learning more about large learning models such as that, or into learning AI. They actually have courses and everything for it. But I don't know how much people are big fans of Nvidia now, especially what they pulled over this week and all the intimidation factors that they gave everybody, that if you don't do our review like this, that we're not going to talk to you ever again, or you can't talk to our guys anymore, which is kind of ridiculous because the public always should know exactly what's going on when it comes to a GPU, and you don't want to end up spending your hard-earned money on a GPU that's not really worth it. But yeah, they are a very pleasant surprise, I gotta say, and it shows that Intel is listening once more. And I think the new CEO of Intel is definitely going to make a difference when it comes to Intel. Unfortunately, Pat Gelsinger was not the guy for Intel. He was more of a, he was good at doing what he did, which was like the marketing side of it. He changed up the brand. He did a lot of good things, but then again, he also ended up pulling it in a very negative direction because of it too. So I'm curious to see how well it goes with Intel's new CEO. I have a lot of faith in them. I think they are going to improve. And the good thing is, because Intel is getting better, that will also bring more competition to AMD and possibly Nvidia. But again, Nvidia feels that they're too big. What's up, 5-star? Good to see you. And another thing that Nvidia did come out with is their process when it comes to Nvidia and MediaTek. They both came out with their own type of CPU. So it's more of an ARM processor instead of actual like a x64 or any type of architecture similar to that. So they're more into ARM processes. In a way, it's a good thing because then it can also be more efficient in that sense. But if Nvidia just takes over everything, it's just going to be expensive, to be honest. If Nvidia does take up like the whole market, it would be wild. It would just be messed up. But I do remember at a time when Nvidia actually was working together with motherboard chipsets. And I know some of you guys in here know about this too. Like back then when they had the Enforce boards, they also was like part of like that big design. I got to show you what it looked like, but they were part of Enforce 4 boards. Looks something like this. I felt like they were trying to get into it before, like there was an indication. Let me see. Let me get a good picture of it. Here goes a good Enforce SLI board. It's funny to see it like this too. That's what it looked like. I wish AMD can saturate laptop market with more RX GPU devices. I agree. AMD does need to get a little bit stronger into the market. But this is the 5070 12 gigabyte is 799 Canadian dollars on Newegg, which is 576.40. It's a bit. It's not a terrible deal. Which one is it? The 5070 12 gig. Which model is it? I have to ask. Is it from Asus or is it from Asus? Okay, Asus Prime. Yeah, that's honestly not bad because the original founder's price for it was $500. Now that it's going through an AIB and Prime is like the minimal, like when it comes to like their brands, it's like Asus Prime, then it goes tough, and then it goes up from there. But for this Jeep, that's not actually a bad deal. And 5-star, remind me of your setup again, like of which monitor you have, just to make sure, because you don't want to end up getting it for a 4K monitor. It doesn't reach your expectations. That's the biggest thing. Because the funny thing is, when I did test out the 5070, if you guys didn't see it, I do have a video on it where I did test out the 5070, and it certainly doesn't hit as high frame rates as you thought, like in Cyberpunk 2077, as you saw, like when they mentioned that CES, like how it was going to beat out the 4090. That wasn't even the case. It was like nowhere close. Can you say happy birthday to my cousin Monica slowly? Happy birthday, Monica. My fault. I just am seeing that now. I only play Call of Duty. Should I go AMD? Oh, that's right. Okay. Like I remember your comment. It's funny because I was speaking of this just earlier about about the whole comment about what you said about playing Call of Duty. Now, I know you just play Call of Duty, but the biggest thing is Are you going to play it on a 4K monitor is the question. If it's on a 4K monitor, then it will matter, because Call of Duty, apparently they're going to be a lot more unoptimized from what it seems like, because I was reading about what they're planning. i7-13700 F4060. Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, you're good. If you're playing on a 1080p, yeah, you're perfect. Yeah, the 5070 is good then, for certain. Yeah. Yeah, 5070 is good, for certain. I can say. That for the Asus Prime 5070, that's not a bad deal then. Because the thing is, my biggest gripe is if anyone's trying to get it for like 4K gaming, and then then they try to enable DLSS 4, thinking that's going to be the magic answer to solve the problem. But I'll tell you right now, it isn't. It's good. Don't get it twisted. It is good, but it's not that good. It won't be able to run super well on a 4K monitor. Yeah. You know what's funny? Asus actually, speaking of 1080p monitors, they're coming out with this OLED monitor. It's another one, not the one I was talking about earlier with the True Blacks, but actually a super high refresh rate monitor, up to 610 hertz. It's freaking insane. So can you imagine having that type of advantage? 610 hertz, playing something like a first-person shooter, like Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, anything that you're trying to play very competitively against, because that would definitely take it. It's OLED too, which is pretty wild. And especially now, a lot of OLED technologies, there's ways where they can really prevent burn-in. I'm trying to remember the name of. There's one company that mentioned that they did something differently with OLED where it does prevent burn-in, besides the anti-flicker, besides all the other like cleaning pixels, besides all that stuff. But there's another technology that they came out with, which I will find. Once I do, I will share it with you guys, or if I remember it. But anyway, let me throw up the poll real quick, guys, because anybody that's just coming in, I have a poll up here where you can put a vote in. You just put either 1 or 2. And what this does is you decide on who the winner of of Computex was. And also, this kind of helps decide on what I should take a look at next if we do some sort of build, whether if it's Intel or if it's going to be Project Ninja, which is going to be an all stealth build. And just put the number in of which one you feel, 1 or 2, that should be part of that build. And we can take a look at the GPU, run some benchmarks, and you can even request some of the games that you would like to see on there that we can run the benchmark with. Because I know a lot of people have questions, especially when it comes to, like, say, either an ultra-wide monitor or if it's a 1080p monitor. Feel free to put your vote in, put either 1 or 2. So far, it seems like most people definitely went to see the RX960 XT for the most part. So feel free to put your vote in. Just put 1 or 2. So I'll leave this poll up for a little bit, but certainly but for the 5070, the Asus Prime, you should be pretty happy with for the most part. Especially that you're coming with that type of build, that's definitely going to fit you well. And let me go back here real quick, because we talked about Noctua, and we also talked about Asus. We talked about AMD's, what they're coming out. We talked a little bit over Nvidia about their RTX 5060. We can go. I didn't really talk too much about their specifications. I don't know if anyone really cares about their specifications, because it shows in the polls that nobody really cares currently about their 5060. But their RTX 5060 Ti, for anyone that is curious about the specifications, currently for the RTX 5060 Ti, let's go here. For the 16 gigabyte model, it is GB206. That's a chipset on it. You need a minimal requirement of PCI Express 8 for X8. It's supposed to launch at 429 USD. And the clock speed, let's see, where is the clock speed? Here it is. So the base clock's at 2.4 gigahertz, boost clock's at 2.5 gigahertz, memory clock's at 1.75. Again, it's on G7. It's going to be on 28-bit bus, kind of figured that. And it has up to 4,608 cores in there. Again, that's all for ray tracing. So for anyone that is curious about that, you can certainly, it does have a little bit more ray tracing, of course, compared to AMD's side when it comes to their RX960 XT. Let me hide the poll real quick. So hopefully everyone put their vote in, put 1 or 2. Let me know what your thoughts are on this vote. Feel free to put your vote in, and you'll see the bars move if anyone ever goes for. It seems like nobody's going for the RTX 5060 Ti at this point. And it sounds like a lot of people are much more happier right now. So you got your i7 13700KF used on Amazon for 320 Canadian, and it was returned. The box was open but never installed. The plastic was sealed. I understand why. That's a really good deal, actually. For anyone who still wants to, oh nice. Yeah, that's a big upgrade, actually. That's a much better upgrade. This is why the combo with the 40, yeah, I agree. Even, I know even if you get the 5070, not 5070, but yeah, you get the 5070. In fact, I know you'll be happy with it, especially with your type of monitor and everything. It would actually fit well. And for Call of Duty, it doesn't really matter as much. Even it's actually, Call of Duty recently, especially Black Ops 6, it's been optimized a lot for AMD cards originally, because before they would have issues, especially on Black Ops 6, where it would have some sort of memory leak. And that was a big problem. You would see it would be bad. It would take up, like, for example, my memory capacity would be up to 32 gigabytes. It would be then take up up to like 21 or 22. So it would take up a good decent amount of memory in there, like unnecessary memory. But then over time, they eventually fixed it, and they added the whole DLSS and the different factors that Nvidia has compared to AMD, because everything was Fidelity FX the way they had it originally. But okay, I'll go hide the poll now. But for certain, it seems like a lot more people are happier when it comes to the whole AMD side, because again, the price point's much more fair. It's $300 for an RX 9060, and then $350 for an RX 9060 XT, and you get up to 16 gigabytes. And then on top of it, it's on a 128-bit bus at a boost clock at 3.13 gigahertz. And again, it doesn't really require as much power on the card as well. It only requires 1 8-pin connection, which is really good. I think at least it does. I have to actually take a look, because there's so many different variations of it, actually. Let me actually see one. Because apparently they made over 200 variations of the RX 9060 XT, which is pretty insane. Yeah, but the one that you will see will look something like this. I actually, just like how I had in my cover, in fact. Right. Let me zoom in on this. Hopefully it shows right. So I'm going to switch over. Right here. Let me zoom in. Yeah, there you go. That works. So again, 32 RDNA 4 compute units. Nvidia's wild, I gotta say. They've been definitely feeling like they could say whatever they want, for the most part. And 828 tops, 3.13. There's the boost clock, 8 gigabytes, $300, 350. Again, look at the board power. Doesn't require much. I am always buying 3 to 4 year old second-hand GPUs for my home PC, so everything I care is if the card is working. The funny thing is, most cards should end up working, unless it was that weird short period when the 30 series was out. And when the 30 series was out, a lot of people were using their cards for mining, for GPU mining. And if you got a card that was used for GPU mining, you could forget about it. It was used and beat. But now it seems like that's calmed down a lot. They should separate gaming and AI because AI is much more profitable. That's what they're doing. And that's what the funny thing is, that's what we were just talking about. AMD is coming out with their own version of it, and which is this, which I'll show you in a second. But AMD is coming out with their own version, which looks like this. It's the AMD 9700, which is pretty wild looking actually. It looks like just like a typical workstation GPU. And right here looks just like this. Right there. And this is meant for AI. Again, this is for 32 gigabytes. It's smart of them to do this because the thing is, this is going to be a big market eventually, I think, for sure. I gotta admit, last year I underestimated this whole AI thing because I always thought AI is just like fluff. Just like just a quick thing that would be in and out. But they definitely got it out to the point where they made it to the point where AI is very interesting to get involved with. So up to 96 teraflops, up to 1531 tops, up to 300 watts TDP. Perfect card for it. And you got to, and I'll share with you guys Intel's too, because Intel actually has a great card coming out, the B570, and it looks like this. It's a dual GPU. Right here. Where's it at? B570. Where's it? The B5? Let me see. B570, 48 gigabytes. There it is. Which I will pull up. Right here. That's who shut it off. They couldn't wait to show it off. It was Maxon. I was really excited to share this. It's funny. They actually unveiled it before Intel. That's how excited they were about showing off this card. Let me switch over so I can show you guys. But this is it right here. 48 gigabytes, which is insane. So it's, again, a dual GPU. So there's actually 2 GPU units inside of here. And here, right here, B60, not B560. So it's B60, XE cores. This is like their ray tracing cores. It doesn't really matter, again, because you're going to be using it for AI. Unless you're using it for like, you're trying to build more of a visual model. But again, that doesn't really matter. And right here, you have up to 192-bit bus. Again, it shares 2424, 48. All this is shared. Again, PCI Express 5, really, again, shared. So you need up to PCI Express 5 X16 in order to have this. Again, great for those who want to build some sort of local learning machine, just say, or some sort of local AI. This would be a great one to really mess with for sure. This is exciting because I don't know how many people are interested in doing any type of AI work, but there is definitely a market for it. Nvidia also came out with their version of it, but then again, it's just like it's just crazy expensive. Again, it's that 96 gigabyte VRAM one. And again, the funny thing is they actually tried to run a test on it. I can only see. Oh, I apologize. You must be seeing it on the vertical side. I apologize for the perfume and barbecue. But let me switch back over. But it looks just like this. There you go. But that's what it looks like. Here's the specs right here. Again, here's the ray tracing cores. XC cores. Again, doesn't really matter. You're not going to game on it. The clock, 2.4 gigahertz. 192-bit. Again, shared. This is also shared, 24 gigabytes, 48 total. All of this is shared. So if anybody's really interested in it, again, RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell is the other alternative, which I will show you. It's at a awesome price of only $3,508. Again, 32 gigabytes, 12,800 CUDA cores. So plenty of ray tracing cores in there. But again, you're not going to be using it for that at all. I've yet to see a use case for AI other than I know. And that's the funny thing. It seems like nobody's really has been taking it serious. I haven't seen any real requests of like people saying, "Oh, let's see some AI builds" or anything like that. It's mostly like almost like a forced market, it seems like. But then again, I was kind of salty from last year because I always thought AI was going to fade into the background. And the funny thing is, it just ends up getting pushed out even further. So the more I try to push it away, it seems like it's getting more and more pushed onto us for the most part. But this is their model. So if anyone's interested in purchasing a 5000 Ada Lovelace version of it, only 3,508. They do have a Blackwell one, which someone did attempt to test it for and use it for gaming, but there wasn't even that much of a gain. It's like a $10,000 card for the Blackwell version. Let's see. Right here. This is the Blackwell version. And let me see if I can see if a store actually has it in stock. That they probably do. Like, who has the money to spend $9,000 or $8,000 on a card? Here it is. This one's by PNY. This is it right here. It's out of stock, so people are actually buying it. People are really buying this card. But anyway, it's $8,000, right? No, get out of here. There we go. $8,180. Again, 96 gigabytes of G7, 512-bit bus, maximum resolution, practically almost 7.6K, I guess, for the most part. PCI Express 5, this has 4 display ports. So it's back ordered, so if anyone's interested in this, it's a lot of money to spend on a card. And the crazy part is, like, Intel's card, the one that they're coming out with is like the fraction of this price. But this one, you know what's funny? I saw somebody that said that they were very interested in doing these AI models, right? And I had someone that I saw actually tried to mess with one of these, not this specific card, but I think it was just like an RTX 5090, and they used MSI's power supply. It was their AEG one, and when they used it, they actually ended up destroying their port. So while they were trying to code with it, they ended up damaging the port, even though they know they had the power on that PC. So that's, again, negative side if you do use Nvidia's cards, because you do have to either way use the 12 volt high power ports. I just feel like we could see in the near future like another reiteration of the 12 volt high power port once more, but I just wonder how they're going to do it this time. But it's just been a mess when it comes on Nvidia's side, at least. But at least you know when it comes to Intel and when it comes to AMD, you know for certain that they're going to stick with their PCI Express port. And more than likely, that's going to be sufficient enough. Now, what can be very useful when it comes to like AI models or any type of like your local models such as Llama or any of those, how you can use it for like a NAS system. So if you have your own network, like when it comes to your hard drives and everything, that would be very useful for that. You give it a very specific prompt of where a file is, it'll be able to find it for you instead of you having to search through your drives. I could see it being used for something like that. But it's going to get much more advanced for certain, the more and more people get involved with it. But well, I got to share with you guys this. If anyone's interested in this, believe it or not, Nvidia has their deep learning courses here, which is right here. Deep Learning Institute. Nvidia's Deep Learning Institute. And here's all their different courses for it. Right there. So if anyone's into that, they do offer it. So you can actually enroll in it. And again, all these programs are actually free. So if you just want to spend some time about learning more about AI, they actually are teaching it for free. It's about time they do something at least for free, right? But I'll send it here, through here, just in case if anybody does really want to learn any from it. I feel it's very interesting for anybody to really get involved in it. So if you are interested in learning more about deep learning AI, it's a great place to go. That's Jonah in the background. Jonah. He's trying to, I don't know why he does that. The floor is already flat as it is, but he likes to scratch it up anyway and lays down on it. So, if anyone's just coming in, I just got to put out this poll once again because I'm just curious. So far, it seems like nobody has answered other than AMD. So let me know what your vote is, and if you put your vote in, just put either 1 or 2, and that will adjust the poll. So far, it seems like mostly everyone is going for the RX960 XT, and it seems like that's the direction we're headed. Nobody's really interested in seeing anything to do with the RTX 5060 Ti, from what it seems like. I know it's a little bit more of an expensive model. So, yeah, so far, it's just dominating the RX 9060 XT. Again, it's much more cheaper. It's only $350. So there's that. Versus the RTX 5060 Ti, where it starts at $429, I think it is, for the 16 gigabyte model. It's pretty close to the RTX 5070 at that point, which is pretty insane. I know. That's what it seems like. I'll check that out. It does seem that like Amazon, Newegg, and other big online retailers are trying to use AI to, yeah. Have you noticed how hard it is? I'm sure if anybody's been using Amazon or been trying to get into customer service with Amazon, has anyone noticed how hard it is now to get to customer service now? You have to go through Amazon's AI program in order for you to reach customer service, which is insane. I don't get it at all. And the crazy thing is, it's like they should make it a lot easier for us to reach customer service, but it's almost like they don't want you to deal with that. So what will be the new advantages with the new frame generation or on RDNA 4? The new see the new advances when it comes to RDNA 4. It's just more sharper. It's more clear compared to RDNA. But it's much more clear than RDNA 3 or 3.5, like either one, because if you ever see the difference between it, it's much more blurry. It's not as clear, and it's going to you won't really enjoy the gameplay as much from it. But when it comes to RDNA 4, it's a lot more clear. You can actually, it's more sharp, and the frame generation is more smooth on it. It's a much more bigger improvement compared to RDNA 3. So if you're wondering what the difference is between that, that's the main difference. You will notice that it actually looks like real gameplay versus something that looks very soft and mushy, you can say, for the most part. But that's the biggest thing. And you could certainly see it when we actually tried it out when it came to Doom. But the only problem is there's certain games out there that's not really optimized for it. We tried it on Doom, but it just seems like it was not very good. And it ended up, not because of AMD's card, but it's because the game wasn't optimized well. And the reason why the game was not optimized well was because when I tested it, like while it was off RDNA 4, it worked fine. But I got to do another test where I have Rivet Tuner off and see how well it runs without Rivet Tuner and frame generation on. But I've heard from others, not just from RDNA 4, but from those who are on earlier RDNA 3 or a 3.5 or any of those ones, they've also run into the same issue. If they use their version of frame generation, it doesn't work as good, but it's also not as clear as well. But that's the main thing. I'm also going to run it on other tests. I should run it on different games. Maybe I should run it more on something like Cyberpunk. And you could see a clear-cut difference, which I'll more than likely do over the weekend too. And I'll put up a poll on whichever games anybody would like to see. And but so far on this poll, it seems like it's pretty set, like when it comes to the graphics card. But let me put up a different poll for you guys too. Out of curiosity here, let me just turn this other poll on so you guys can see it here. And that is, so it's predetermined at this point that we're going to go RX960 XT. It seems like Nvidia is getting kicked in the face. They deserve it though, because how they're treating everybody. Let's see, right here. For my traveling device, I just got a used GPD win with HX370 APU. That's actually, GPD is really good. I like to, because GPT also has the Hall effect sticks and everything built in as it is already. So that's a nice choice. So I'm going to put up another poll for everybody out there, and you put your vote in. But this is going to be over the weekend, more than likely. And will also be combined with like PC tech questions, or if you have any PC upgrade or PC build questions, you can feel free to ask. But Fenzingo, that's a great device to get. There's also the dock that I'm looking forward to, which is the Asus dock. I keep talking about it because it looks amazing. And if you guys haven't seen it, or if you have a handheld, yeah, it's an upgrade from Steam Deck. Yeah. The Steam Deck's great and everything, but it's like, they really need to come out with a Steam Deck too, for certain. So if anybody out there, you can put your vote in for the weekend. What would you like to see? Let me adjust this poll real quick. So what would you guys like to see here? And we can run it. We can run some tests. We can run it on either. It seems like I bet everyone's going to vote for the RX960 XT. I mean 9070 XT, or the RTX 5090. We could run it either or system. So far we got Monster Hunter Wilds. Okay, we will run a test on Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm assuming you guys would love to see it on the 9070 XT or on the RTX 5090. We could discuss it on that day. We could run it on both. Either one's fine with me. And you could see how well it runs. It's really amazing, the RX 9070 XT, and I can't stop bragging about it. But if anyone out there is interested in any type of PC builds, I do have a website to where I have PC builds, which you can find right here. Oh, let me take a swig of water real quick. Woo. This cup is pretty dope, actually. I got this from Micro Center. They were giving these out. You see it? It might be hard to see because the camera's focused on my face right now. I would have to tap the camera. Right there. Right there. That was from Micro Center. Right here. They were giving these out. It's funny, they just opened up their new location in California. Well, they will soon. But if anyone wants a Micro Center near them and that they're in the US, feel free to let them know. And I gotta say, like, if anyone in Canada, just like the people in Canada, just tell them, open up a Micro Center there. I could see them do really well in Canada, to be honest. Because there's really a lack of stores besides, like, Best Buy. Like, if you ever go to Best Buy anymore, it's just depressing. You just don't really see anything there anymore. Like, you don't, like, all the stuff that they have, like all their newest PC components, their new PC motherboards or processors, they're all dated. They're not really that new anymore. They're like at least like from a year ago. They're new, but they're like dated by a year. But unfortunately, Best Buy just has seemed to have fallen off a bit. But the only things that they really do get up to date are from certain partners that they have. Such I know Asus and Best Buy, they work together. They can get new products from them. We don't have any of their NPL. Yeah, and that's the thing. That I'm telling you, just contact Micro Center, go and let them know. Just send them an email and be like, hey, you guys should open here. They'll listen. Just gotta give them the suggestion, get enough people to send emails to them, and hopefully they'll be opening up a Micro Center then. Because the problem is sometimes some of their geography you gotta question like where they put it, because sometimes they put it in a really odd location. I gotta say, for the most part, and if it's in that odd location, it might be quite a bit of a drive. Like before we had this Micro Center here in Miami, the closest Micro Center we had was all the way in I think it was Atlanta in Georgia, which is like a 6-hour drive. My English is worse than a kid. I asked Best Buy employee a few weeks ago if they had Cat 8 Ethernet or Gen 5 SSDs. No way. He didn't say they don't exist yet. That's funny. He said that it doesn't exist. That is oh my gosh. I wonder. That's currently the Best Buy that we currently have now. It just seems like they got rid of all the good stuff. I don't know why they did it. And the funny thing is, they have like Gen 5 everything now. Like Western Digital actually just came out with theirs. I don't know if anyone saw it. Yeah, I know you were probably pissed off at the same time too, because depending on how far it is from you, and you go there and you ask them expecting them to have it, and he says he has no idea. Did they end up having it, by the way? Or did they just not have any at all? Out of curiosity. But they did. Western Digital came out with their Gen 5 SSDs, and Samsung, of course, came out with theirs like a couple months ago. But it just seems like it's still very expensive to get it. Like to get a Western Digital PCI Express 5, I think 2 terabytes, it's like $300. No, none in stock. Terrible. And that's a shame, because there's such a market for it that they could easily sell it, but they just sell the wrong things. It's almost becoming an electronics store where they're falling behind. It's like any like other older electronics store. like where you know that they're becoming dated. Like once a store becomes behind, like in tech, you know that the store isn't really going to last much longer. And it seems like Best Buy is at that point. They're there, but nobody shops there enough to the point where they don't have the proper demand of the products that they need. And the products that they do have, the products that they actually do sell in the physical store are people that are usually older, so to say, like people that are getting like TVs or just like typical electronic stuff, almost like home appliances. They don't really have much. Even in the video game side, it seems like they're trying to do away with a lot of their video game catalog. Instead of actually having a library of games, they're just going to have just the system and that's it. Everything's going more digital. And the games that they do have is very little selection. But Best Buy certainly needs like to revamp. Otherwise, they're just going to go down the drain at this point because everything is dominant by the internet at this point. Everyone goes either to Amazon or Newegg, and they all have the better deals. And for anyone that is looking for a new processor, if you're looking for a processor like a 265K or 285K, Newegg does have a great deal where you can get 2 games, or RAM or a SSD. You make your pick. You can pick each either or. You can say. For the RAM, I think it's a little bit more. You spend like $305 for a 265K, but for the SSD, it's $275, and you get 2 games. The 2 games are Civilization 7, and the other game is Dying Light. So you get these 2 games with the Intel processor. And the reason, I gotta say, the main reason why they are trying to sell it is because they're just trying to offload practically their old inventory. Because again, they're switching over once again. They go to a new motherboard. It's not going to be upgradable. So once you're in their, once you have their Z890, you're going to be locked in. So the most highest you're ever going to probably go is to Z285K, and that's it. Unless they come out with a reiteration of it, like a Raptor Lake refresh, or like something like similar to that, like some sort of refresh for that generation, which I don't think they will. They're going to be put all their chips in practically for a Panther Lake at this point, because it just seems like they're not even going to attempt with this generation so far. But I gotta say, for the most part, I'm excited for Intel's newest chipset. I think that's going to turn out good. I think Intel is going to surprise everybody, especially next year. And I'm curious to see how well the processor performs. I really would love to see it compared to something like the Ryzen 9800 X3D, like when it comes to gaming. And the thing is, Intel has never really been that bad. Everyone who has an Intel processor knows this. It's just that they don't put enough into their whole research and development side, like when it comes to their processors. And it's a lesson that they should have learned a long time ago when it came to the whole 8th and 9th generation of Intel. And it seemed like they learned it very well when it came to Alder Lake. And Alder Lake was an excellent chipset. One of my favorites, again, like out of all the chipsets that they really came out with that is more current compared to Raptor Lake and Raptor Lake Refresh, because again, it's just they required more power to get more process out of it. But again, I'm glad Intel is getting it together on that side, and it's going to be quite exciting when Asus comes out with their new True Black OLED display. I think that's going to be something to see, especially that since it's true black, and most glossy monitors, if you reflect it into the sun or into any type of light, you will notice it right away. It'll beam right back at your eyes. If anyone ever has their TV like pointing out, say, to like a patio door or pointing out to any type of window, you'll see the reflection from the sun. But the funny thing is, now with the Asus's monitor, apparently because it's true black, it will be able to absorb the light much better. to the point where it won't really reflect as much off of the screen. There'll still be some reflection. It's not going to be completely blackened out, but it's going to be a much better improvement compared to a lot of other glossy OLED monitors, which I can't wait to personally see. But Noctua has some great things coming out as well. And let me hide the poll real quick, guys, since we have an idea. My last Intel was the E6600, and then I switched to AMD in dark times of FX. Oh, really? Oh, wow. You know what's funny? The FX, in the FX series, they were actually pretty decent because I had them before then. I had them right before they were FX. They were Athlon X64. I had the 3800 Plus. That's right when they were, I think that was only single core at the time before they went into multi-processes. But Intel certainly had something originally when it came to multi-cores. When they had Intel Duo and then they started going into that generation, that's the old Intel we knew. Like Intel, that's when Intel was actually doing better and was starting to dominate. But man, how they have fallen off, and now how have they became the value processor now? It seems, especially for this generation. Now they're just trying to offload all the motherboards, all the Z890s, and how they're trying to offload all their processors for this generation currently. But I really can't wait for the 18A though. I gotta say, for the most part. So, Bam guys, I thank everybody for joining in. Hopefully, I see everybody out there on Saturday. I will be streaming once more at 10 a.m. And it's so far we have Monster Hunter Wilds and Doom from what it seems like. And for everybody out there who wants to see the poll or wants to have a chance to quickly put their vote in right before I end up closing up shop here. Now, for anyone who is interested in a PC build, feel free to check out the website. I do have them right here. And I only ship in the US because, again, UPS has damaged products before, so it has to be either within the States or within Canada. That's fine too. Just I can't ship it out over into the side of Europe or any on that side of the planet just yet until I figure that part out at least. But I thank everybody for joining in and sharing their thoughts and hearing what they have specification wise. If you guys haven't joined the Discord channel, it's also right here. Feel free to join it. If you have any questions at all, you could show off your PC builds, you could show off your benchmarks, and we all love to talk about PC tech. Actually, Joe just upgraded from his GPU all up to the what was it, the RTX 5070 as well, in fact. But I thank everybody for joining in, and thanks so much, Bam, for being part of the show. Have a good night, everybody.